Hi everyone, welcome to Sade's Tarot Tea. I am going to finally be doing a reading on Prince, the legendary Prince. I'm so excited, guys. He came through for me. It took a long time. You guys know that I've been wanting to read on Prince for like the longest time. So I am so freaking excited. Just so you guys know, I asked for permission. And I actually went to the realm that he's in heaven, and I spoke to him personally, and I can see him very like clearly in my third eye. And he was sitting there, guys, like so gracefully and so elegantly, and he was like, so what do you want to talk about? So I don't know, guys, if he talks like that, but he has a very like soft-spoken voice. Not like when I read on Michael Jackson. It's very like soft-spoken but calming and just like really interesting. And I was just like, I told him, I was like, thank you so much for letting me read on you. I've been wanting to read on you for the longest time. He's like, I know. So he's very confident, and he's tiny too. I've never seen Prince in person. I'm not a really big like super fan of Prince, but I always liked his energy. I always just vibed really well with some of his music and like just his energy, man. I just always wanted to do a reading on him because I find him very curious. Like I'm very curious, and I find him very mysterious, and like, which he does have like 8th house placement, so that makes sense that he would come across that way. So yes, guys, I can't wait to do this reading on him. So if you guys would like to stick around and know more about Prince, please stick around. Hit that subscribe button while you're at it, my chicas and chicos. And definitely hit that notification bell for when your girl pull up. And if you guys would like to book a personal reading with me, please email me at shadestarot@yahoo.com. So guys, I am beyond excited. I already pulled cards on Prince and what he wants to say. He has a really awesome like energy. I'm trying my best to not fangirl because I like love his energy. But he was like, okay, like these are the cards like I'm gonna give you, and that's all I'm gonna say. And then I'm like, okay, like no problem. And we're also going to look at his chart because I want to talk about the kind of person he was. And so Prince is not really wanting to talk too much to me, but that's okay. Like I'm okay with that. I want to be as respectful as possible. Hello guys, sorry I'm already interrupting my video, but I just realized that Prince's chart was not right, the one I read to you guys originally. So I'm actually going to be interrupting and saying his actual time of birth, because I have his rising sign and I have his, as you guys will see here on the screen, I have his actual moon placement. And this would make sense as to why Prince was so psychic and spiritual, because he's got that Pisces moon, man, that Pisces moon with that Scorpio rising. I knew he had to have been a Scorpio rising. I could feel it, and you could actually see it in Prince's eyes how intense he was, like how much of a Scorpio he really was, more than a Gemini. And also, I've noticed while looking at his chart, since they had his rising, I was able to look at his houses, and he actually has his sun in the 8th house, which would explain why Prince was so closed off and why it took me so long to read on him, because he doesn't like just anyone reading on him. He likes to feel you out for about a couple of months, like that Scorpio, like Scorpios, us Scorpios like to do, we like to wait. And he really made me wait. So here's his correct chart. He's a sun in Gemini, moon in Pisces, Mercury in Gemini, Venus in Taurus, Mars in Aries, rising in Scorpio, sun in the 8th house. Makes so much sense with that. Mercury in the 7th. That would explain a lot why he spoke about love so much. He has his Mercury on his 7th, in his 7th house. So beautiful. Alright guys, I just wanted to say that really quick, and let's get back to the video. Thank you for watching. So let's talk about Prince being a Gemini. So Prince being a Gemini, and basically he's very quiet, guys. Like I can tell that Prince was a very quiet type of energy. He liked to do things below the surface. He liked to move very quietly. He didn't like everybody in his business, and that is honestly why it took me so long to get him to say yes, because I don't know how these other readers have been reading on him, because like that is why he's so off-put. Like he's being off-put by psychics, because a lot of us are trying to like tap his energy, and I just kept getting the energy from him that he is very spiritual. He was always spiritual while he was on this earth, and while he was here he was always very spiritual. He was always in tune with his third eye chakra, his crown chakra, his base sacral chakra, you know, you name it, his throat chakra. He was very in tune with his chakras and his heart chakra. He was someone, I feel from Prince already, that really liked to take time with the people he loved and cared about. He does have his Venus in Taurus, so that is telling me as well that he took to heart a lot of the people that were in his life, and he could be very stubborn when it came to love. Like, he liked to do things his way. He felt like he knew what was best for everyone, and he liked to, I just see Prince giving people a lot of advice, and like a lot of people would go to Prince, like if you were lucky enough to be in his circle, because he was a very private guy. Not everybody guys got to be in his life like that, you know. He had a lot of acquaintances. He didn't have a lot of friends, and when he was like cool with everyone. He was that guy that just like drifted around the party, kind of like a vampire in a way, like drifted around the party, like talked to people here, talked to people there. He was very quirky, very weird. I feel like he was into really weird shit, and he was always like ahead of his time. I feel like Prince was like a trailblazer, as we saw in his music, but in fashion too. And he was really into style. He was very into fashion. He was very much hands-on with everything he did. He's showing me like images of himself when he was younger. He would like dress up really quirky as a child. Like Prince is showing me that his parents thought he was like a cross-dresser, because like he's showing me that he's like, my parents thought I was a cross-dresser because like I like to experiment with fashion, I like to experiment with clothes, I like to paint my nails, I like to do things that made me like really happy. And I don't know why I'm getting this energy, not that Prince is a cross-dresser, but I feel like he was bi. So if anybody knows, let me know about that. But I feel like with that Mars and Aries makes sense. He was very experimentative in his sex life, was very private about his sex life. He didn't like, you know, talking about his sex life, but I feel like he liked to have experiences. So Prince didn't really mind like having you know, group orgies. He didn't care. He was like very soulful, very expressive, and you know, he liked to have people in his life that he trusted. So even though he was experimentative in his sex life, it was with people that he really cared about, really admired as a woman. Like, he loved women. He loved I kept getting a lot of love cards too from him as well. So we're going to pull more on his personality. I'm very curious about that before we get to his cards. With his Mercury and Gemini, I do feel like Prince was very closed off. As I said, he didn't like talking a lot. He kept a lot of his ideas to himself. Two of Wands, yeah, Prince didn't really like to collaborate with people too. This could be in the musical sense. He's telling me I didn't really like to collaborate with people. I didn't like, not that I wasn't open or honest about who I had in my life or who I wanted in my life. He just felt like, he's like, I like to live my life very privately. I didn't like to, he's like, even as a little child, I was very closed off. I was very introverted. I was a shy kid. But then he's like, music just made me come alive. Music was the very thing that made me happy, that made me feel whole and excited. Because Two of Wands, he's telling me about his childhood was a little bit estranged in some places. Like, his parents really didn't understand him, and he was saying that his parents didn't understand him, and music was his form of escape, and music was his life, you know, and fashion was his life, and he loved instruments. His mom was very supportive of the things he wanted to do, which I really like about her energy, I feel. So let me know, guys, if you know about that. Interesting. So guys, Prince is saying that he was very closed off when it came to being in a relationship, or being, even though he loved love and he loved giving himself in relationships, he still liked to keep his independence, where he remained detached. And he's saying that he was often at times like a heartbreaker, and like women didn't like that about him, that he was so open, you know, he was open to people that he chose to be open to. So don't get it twisted, you know, he was open to people he wanted to be close with, but a lot of times he felt like he had to be very closed off and reserved, because like so many people were interested in him, and so many people he feels, and I feel as well, were infatuated with him, and like would cross his boundaries a lot. So he constantly like had to learn to keep a hold of his boundaries. And as he aged, this was when he was younger, but as he got older, it was harder for people to come around him. And I just see Prince like swarmed by bodyguards. I feel like he kept a tight, you know, circle around him. He like, it was so hard, guys, to get a hold of Prince, which I'm sure is not a shock. You know, so it was an honor when he graced anyone's presence. It was truly an honor for them to be in his presence, because a lot of people just understood right off the bat that he didn't just do that with anybody. You know, he was a very private guy. I keep saying that. I'm picking up that Prince suffered from, okay, so there was something that went on with his mother. The Empress is in the reverse, or maybe, I don't know if Prince had a child, or if there was a woman that was pregnant with his child, but he doesn't know about it. Or so let me know, fans of Prince, let me know if there was a mom that, or if this was his mom. I feel like this could have been his mom. Maybe his mom passed when he was younger, or before he passed, or his mom was not present in his life, is what I'm getting. 8 of Cups in the upright. He had to walk away from a lot of people that did not serve him. Like, Prince knew his boundaries, and he knew who served him and who didn't, and he had a clear perspective of that. He had a clear boundary of that, and he didn't like people draining his energy, because Prince was very cautious of his energy. I get water energy from him, so I don't know if that's his rising, guys. Let me know if you guys know his rising, or I'll put it below if I find it. But also, I keep picking up on depression. I feel like Prince suffered from a lot of anxiety or depression. He's also could be telling me that too, because he is talking as well to me. He also is doing this thing where he wants me to figure things out for myself. I feel like Prince was like destined, and he always knew, well, one, I feel like Prince always knew that he wanted to be in music. He wanted to just heal and do music and create music and art that really healed people. He didn't care about the fame. He didn't care about that. That was just something that came along with it. He's telling me, I didn't care about the fame. I just liked, you know, I just liked what came, you know, with the art. I liked, yeah, sure, like, okay, like, it was nice sometimes, but he's like, I learned very early on that that doesn't make someone, that doesn't help someone's character, that doesn't create someone's character. And he oftentimes, he is still kind of closed off, guys, so I'm trying to respect his boundaries, but he is letting me say that he was very, like, sure of his talent. He was very sure of himself. He's also telling me that there was a mentor around him at the time as he was coming up that really helped like sculpt his image in a way, because there was mentors, but also he pulled inspirations from other people. I'm also hearing Jimi Hendrix. So I don't know, guys, if Prince in the past has talked about Jimi Hendrix, but I just felt Jimi Hendrix energy come through. He really admired Jimi Hendrix. But there were times where Prince is telling me he would feel stifled in his life, and he would feel misunderstood, or there were certain like controversies that were around him when he was coming up in the industry where he was too controversial, and he understood that. Like, he understood that he was too controversial, but he liked that about himself, and that was the thing that made his image, and he's proud of that. He's very proud that he was experimentative and wildly creative, and didn't care, and just broke boundaries and really bend the rules of music, you know. And that's what his goal was in the music industry, was to heal. One, that was a big thing, to talk about love and to be inspired and to inspire other people, is what he's telling me. Sometimes he did feel like being in the spotlight was a burden. He's telling me that although he was grateful for the platform he was given and the way, you know, everyone responded to his music, he also recognizes that it was very burdening on him. It was very burdening. And there was actually someone that he was really heavily talking to before he passed away. But also he keeps pointing me to depression. So I'm gonna look up how Prince passed. I think it was an overdose, right? Yeah, I said that, guys. He was telling me it was an overdose, like drug overdose, but it says that it was an accidental drug overdose. But I'm actually hearing, and I remember I talked to this one guy who was a fan of Prince, who said that it was interesting because Prince had everything set up before he passed away. Like, he knew he was gonna pass away, or like he knew he was gonna die. So like, Prince is telling me that he felt like his mission on this earth was done. Like, he felt like it was completed, and he's actually content in heaven. Like, he's very content, guys. And it actually, Prince transcended on this earth very fast, but he also ascended in heaven very fast. And I see Prince when he was little. He's showing me very much he would talk to people that have passed away. He was very spiritual. He's very psychic. Like, he knew and picked up on things very easily. So I'm so curious as to what his rising's in. But I think I saw somewhere in an article that Prince had a lot of 8th house placements, which doesn't surprise me because I am getting that dark energy kind of like followed him. So it's like this is a side he doesn't want people to know about, but he's letting me in a little bit to talk about that because I am gaining his trust, which is great. So thank you, Prince. But he's saying that there was a lot of darkness that followed him, a lot of suicidal moments that he had. And he is telling me, even though they're saying accidental overdose, he is telling me that he did think about suicide a lot. He did think about, like, there were dark moments that he had where he just did not want to be here, and he did, so to speak, kind of manifest his death. That is what he's telling me. And Prince, guys, was very powerful man. Like, he could manifest anything he put his mind to. And even from when he was very young, he's telling me that he would manifest things very quickly and very easily. So that doesn't surprise me looking at his energy. He has Saturn in Sagittarius and Neptune in Scorpio. Okay, that makes sense. So his Neptune being in Scorpio is telling me that although he would, like, that is where a lot of his psychic intuitiveness comes from, but also he has more 8th house placement somewhere in his chart, I feel, because I've seen it in an article before. But and if he is a Scorpio rising, then that would make sense too. But, you know, he's telling me that he was very psychic, and he would have like a lot of like disturbing dreams. He would also have a lot of dreams about like love and spirituality, and he was very much trying to get holistic and into healing before he passed. But there was a lot of things he did that kind of made him not want to deal with the reality of the world we were living in and are living in. See, guys, the messages he's given me. I did pull some oracle cards in his name and for him to talk to us about it. Okay, love begins. So like I said, guys, Prince was a very loving person, and Prince, that's all he's wanted in this world. I was like, Prince, do you have any messages for us? You know, what do you want to say? You know, because Prince always, like, when I would meditate on his energy, guys, he would always be like, okay, well, what do you want? Like, I want you to let me send a message. He's very controlling with the reading too. So he's like, I want you to let me speak through you and send a message, because we need to love better. Like, we need to love on each other more, and we need to use music as like an avenue of healing. You know, music needs to be more healing. He's not actually happy at the way music has gone. Like, he believes all music can heal. But he's saying that he wants and would want for music to start being more holistic and like healing, because that was what he was trying to do before he passed. And that's what he's always said. That's what I've always done. That's what I've always wanted from music and for artists. And he's like, artists are supposed to be healers. They're supposed to be messengers. And if you guys go back and look at a lot of his music, there's so many messages, so many hidden messages. And he's showing me his symbol. And he's like, that symbol is about unity. That symbol is about peace, unity, and equality. You know what I mean? And that is what I want for our earth. That is what I want for our planet. And, you know, guys, Prince keeps showing me when he was young, when he was a little boy, he always would have premonitions, and like, he would always picture, like, he was such a loving energy. Like, he would picture being in love, and he loved love. You know, he keeps telling me that I love love. Like, I loved loving women, and if that made me promiscuous, whatever, but I loved loving women. I liked treating women like with respect. I looked at women as our queens. And he also, like, I keep feeling like Prince is bi or like fluid, so I do see him being sexual with a man even at some point in his life. So let me know, guys, or did he get that reputation of being bi, but maybe he just thought about stuff like this. But I feel like he was very fluid in his sexuality. Like, he didn't care. Like, there were no limitations. If he found a man attractive, like, he would hook up with a man. If he found a woman attractive, he would hook up with a woman. And I feel like that's why the gay community loves him so much too, because he really represents equality, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna look it up after the reading, how the gay community has responded to Prince. Let me know, guys. If this offends anybody, I'm sorry, but I keep getting that energy from Prince, that he's very fluid. So anyway, solitude in the reverse. But there, yeah, Prince is saying that he wasn't happy in his life. He was very private, but he was very troubled in some ways. But he did try to live a very peaceful life. But there were so many people that were trying to intrude on his privacy. And he had to constantly put up those boundaries and shut people out. And he hated doing that because, you know, he when he was younger, he used to live freely. He used to do whatever he wanted. But as he got older, as he aged, it became really hard for Prince to accept that he couldn't be open, as free as he wanted to. And if you listen to his music, it's very liberating. And I keep hearing liberation from him, you know, liberating. He keeps telling me that I wanted to be liberated. I loved for people to be liberated, and that is what drew me to be the person I am. And I had mentors around me as I grew up that I saw and looked to as an example, and that helped me to become that person. And then he's saying as I aged, it became harder and harder for me to be that way because the world became more and more closed off. And I so agree with him on that. I kept pulling out spiritual cards for him because, like I said, guys, he's very spiritual, and he was reaching a very spiritual energy in his lifetime, and he wanted to, actually, I'm hearing he wanted to come back, but I feel like God told him, like, you're not coming back. Like, you've done all you can, because Prince actually is a very old soul, and he's walked this life many times before, and he's been reincarnated, and this was the last time that he would have had to come back. Like, this is the last, his life on this planet was it, like, you know. So he's lived his life, guys. Like, I don't feel like Prince will have to come back, but I do feel like he wants to still do more on this earth. But God is putting him, you know, in heaven and keeping him there as an angel and an angel of guidance, because, you know, he needs that. You know, I feel like the world is too harsh for Prince. It's like the world is too precious for him. I mean, he is too precious for this world. He's too precious for this world, guys. Oh my God. So yeah, I pulled that card for him. Transformation I got in the reverse, heartache and loss, and light and new beginnings as well. And I pulled material and spirituality, spiritual prosperity. And the rest of the cards I pulled, guys, is light in the upright. I was immediately drawn to this card, light, for Prince, because I feel like he was a beacon of light. He was, especially if he's a Leo rising, but the fact that he's a Pluto Leo generation makes so much sense. But I feel like he was a beacon of light. He was that light for people. He was that light for people. He was that healer for people. And that's all he wanted. And he was like, you know, I understand why God doesn't want me to come back. I serve my purpose, you know. He's saying I served my purpose. I opened music up for people that maybe didn't have a, you know, felt like they didn't have an outlet. And I did what I was supposed to do, is what I'm hearing him say. Yeah. And movement and spiritual prosperity. I do feel like the world was not ready for a lot of the things that Prince already, he would have like so many premonitions, guys. I keep hearing that, like, he would have so many revelations, and like, he's like, people weren't ready to hear what I had to say. People didn't have an open mind. There were many times, he's saying, where I would tell people things, or, you know, and he does say some of them responded very well. But when it came to being more open as he got older, the world became more closed off to what he wanted to say. You know, they just didn't want to listen. So yeah, new beginnings in the reverse. I feel like Prince would have gone on to have released an album that would have won multiple Grammys. I'm picking up on that. I feel like he would have been more in solitude with this woman. I keep picking up on a woman that he was with, because there is a woman that is still mourning his death. And there could be multiple women. This could have been, I don't know if Prince was married, but this could have been a woman that I know that he has an ex, maybe that's his ex-wife, I'm hearing, if he was married, that was in, she used to be in a reality TV show. I think she's a dancer. I can't remember her name right now, but when she heard that he passed, it was like really hard to like get over his death. Like, it was so hard for her, because most of the time Prince made a very huge impact on a lot of the women's lives that he met, and he treated everybody with respect. He was very respectful, very quiet. I keep getting this very quiet energy from Prince. He talks very quietly to me, and he kind of like, more so like, I keep seeing Prince like observing me and kind of like reading me. Like, he's not really saying much, but he's reading me, and I'm like I feel so exposed, you know, like, don't read me. He still feels like he does feel like we're gonna overcome this COVID, which is nice. I'm asking him about that too. And he's saying we're gonna overcome it, but he's saying it's up to us to take this head on and create our own new beginning and be our own creator. So I don't know what he means by that. Wow, like, create what we want to create, not what people want from us. Yeah. Don't create what people want you to create. Create what you want to create. Create the world you want to live in. Create what you want to see in the future. Create the society and the environment and the universe that you would want to live in. Ooh, Prince. Yes, Prince. Yes. He's so deep. Oh my God. Yeah, transformation in the reverse. His transformation was stopped. I mean, he would have gone on to do even more incredible things than he's already done. And they do have a museum in his name. He knows about that and he's happy. I believe it's his house. But he doesn't like that they're using his music for selfish purposes, so that's still going on. I do see them eventually doing a documentary on him, or a biopic or a movie on him, but they are trying to get the rights to his music and stuff, so I see that coming up towards us. I know that they've been selling some of his music, and yeah, Prince is not wanting to talk anymore, guys. He's getting tired, so I'm gonna let him go. Thank you so much, Prince. Anything else you want to say? Yeah, material harvest. He's like, you are in charge of what you want to create for yourself. He's saying don't give people the power to create your own world for you. Don't give people the power to create or to have an upper hand on you. Be very closed off, be reserved kind of thing. He's saying be private, move without telling people what you're doing, move without telling people your next move, and stand your ground, have triumph and success, and stand your ground, because that was what Prince was all about. He's saying stand your ground, always remember who you are, don't sacrifice yourself for anybody, don't, you know, he's like, it doesn't matter. Wow, this is what I was saying in one of my lives the other day. He's saying the same thing. That's crazy. He's saying create what you want to create, not what people expect from you. Be your own creator. Don't, you know, other than of course God, our Father, but he's like, now we've been created, now you are the creator. Prince, yes, he's saying be your own boss, be your own creator, be your own individual, and freedom of expression, live your life, be liberated in your life, and don't let anything hold you back, because you're gonna regret it. You're gonna regret the what ifs. And Prince was someone that didn't live his life on what ifs. He never lived his life that way. He also didn't really like have regrets. I'm picking up. Yeah, he was very intuitive, guys, very intuitive. And you know, I was just saying this, oh my God, sacrifice came out in the reverse. He was just talking about this. He's stressing this, like, don't sacrifice yourself to make other people happy. Don't sacrifice your creativity, your freedom of expression, whatever that is. Don't sacrifice it for anyone. Basically, I'm saying don't be a sellout. He's saying don't sell your soul. Don't be a sellout, because he's like, that's what the universe, that's what society wants from us. He's saying that's what society wants from you and wanted from me, and I always stood my ground. I always knew who I was, and I didn't let anybody come in between I didn't let anybody come in my energy or my privacy or my life that would taint that. And he's like, I learned from a very early age to not ever do that, you know. And he did have to learn some lessons the hard way, like we all do. But he learned, you know, he learned from that. And he was like, he's like, also learn from the people before you. Learn from the people before you, because they are the ones that are wise. But he's also, you know, a believer in the next generation being the one to, you know, keep raising us up and making our vibrations higher. And he's saying also don't look down on others that are, you know, younger, because they have a lot to offer as well. I'm like, what? I was just saying that, bitch. No, look at me and Prince. We think the same way. Also that he lived his life. He's more content with that now. He lived his life, and he feels like there is nothing more he could have done, and that he did everything he's wanted to do. Peace and love, basically. He's like out. He's like, I'm out. kind of thing, you know. He's just like, thank you, and then he's leaving, so he's done. Prince, thank you so much for coming through. I really appreciate you. Love you, Prince. So yeah, guys, let me know what you think of this reading. I really enjoyed doing this reading. It's not going to be long. I don't know how long this reading is going to be, but I really enjoyed Prince coming through. I've been wanting to read on Prince for like the longest time, and he was like, okay. He finally said yes, and he wanted to do a little bit, so that is, I'm respecting him. Thank you so much, Prince, for coming through. I send you off into the light, and thank you, Father, for protecting me and allowing me to hear Prince and to be his mouthpiece. So like I said, guys, I'm gonna leave it at that. I hope you enjoyed this reading. If you would like to book a personal reading with me, please email me at shadestarot@yahoo.com. And if you have not hit that subscribe button, please feel free to do so. Join the Teacup family. We'd love to have you. Also hit that notification bell for when your girl pull up. Ding ding, bitch. Anyway, guys, I want to say thank you so much for all the love and support. I love you, and I hope you enjoyed this reading whenever you're watching it, day or night. Love and light. Namaste.